Hello, guys. How are you? So, today I'm excited to talk to you because we're going to talk about is my child making progress? And I'm talking a lot about this because I'm seeing it so much that I know that it is a huge issue. And I think that we need to really go into depth as to what does that mean? Is your child making progress and are they not? And I myself will say I have dealt with this and it has completely hit home. So you're not alone, and know that no matter what, it's about learning and moving forward, not feeling guilty about what happened and feeling as if you failed your child. This is about just moving forward and knowing and not allowing it to continue to happen. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Raven Woods, and I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So with that said, hi Christina, how are you? Okay, so with that said, make sure that you guys click notifications, share away. Go ahead and share this, Christina. This is going to be a good one, okay? And make sure you catch me live. I'm live here, and I'm also live on my group. It's Autism Mama Rocks, the IEP group. You can put that in the search section. But yes, share away. This is going to be a really good one. So if you know anybody who has a child with disabilities and has an IEP, this is going to be about progress and are they making progress. I'm actually going to show, well, I can't show you. But this is an IEP I'm working on. But I'm going to go through it with you, two different sections that has really bugged me. It's for a client that I'm working on right now. She's amazing. She doesn't care. I won't be using the child's name though, but I'm going to be explaining to you pet peeves of mine that I'm finding across the board in the multiple IEPs that I'm looking at every single day. I'm on like backlog right now. I got like 6 to keep going with. But I got this, right? So yeah, if you are just now joining, make sure you post a 1 below. If you are new, I want to get to know you. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. You guys know I love you. So yeah, 1 below if you are new, 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay, and definitely share this. All parents who have children with special needs need to hear this, okay? So when I go through IEPs, it's interesting because I always start at the first page, and believe it or not, I look at, the child's name, I make sure it's accurate, that sort of thing, and I keep going. But I'll be honest with you, I usually stick between that second and sometimes it's 5th, 6th, 7th page, 8th page sometimes, which is what? What is right after the name part? And maybe it'll say impact of disability, and that's typically where it'll say autism or ADHD or whatever it is that your child has. That's an important section. You want to make sure that that is 100% accurate. So if your child has dyslexia and autism and ADHD, they should all be in there, okay? Along with the fact of what comes with dyslexia, along with what comes with autism. For example, a lot of children with autism have intellectual disability on their IEP, which is fine. Don't get offended by that at all, okay? It can actually help your child, not hurt them, all right? So don't be offended so much by the wording, all right? And then with dyslexia, it should say, issues with receptive communication, because they're usually tied together. It needs to say, communication issues. A lot of children with dyslexia have communication issues with comprehension, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, all these different things. So they need to sum up all the 6 elements of reading and put that into the area where it says impact of disability. So what we're going to talk about today is more about progress. Think about it. Is my child making progress? How do you know if your child's making progress? Okay, well, every time a child throughout the school year gets a report card, even if your child doesn't get a report card, because a lot of children with disabilities do not, and that is fine, and they're on what's called an alternative assessment kind of schedule, okay? That they're not on the diploma track, all right? And that's fine too, all right? There's not some big thing with being on or off the diploma track, okay? It just depends on your child's impact of disability and where your child is, and it's fine. All right. So one thing I want you to ask yourself is, what progress did you see last year? Okay. Think about that. And how do you know that your child made progress? So for example, the only way to know that your child made progress, other than possibly working with them yourself and of course testing it, is data. Data is the only way for you to monitor progress. All right. When you get progress reports, guys, and I have a parent that received, literally, they had written the progress report on a Word document and sent it to the parent, had no header. It had no signature, nothing, just paragraphs of them writing what the child was and where they were. That is not okay. That's not even legal. And this parent, she's like, oh, well, this is what I've received every time. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. So when you get data, it should show through a period of time that your child worked on XYZ, and then what happened. What happened when they were working on XYZ? All right. Did they do it well the first time and then not do it well the second time? How did that look? Okay, you should be able to see that report data collection over a period of time, so you're able to see it and understand that your child has actually mastered it, not just received a progress report that says, okay, here's the goals, here's my comment. Your child is making progress, or your child has mastered this. And if that's so, then it should show that in the report data collection. All right. So one thing, I'm going to read this to you. Okay. So a pet peeve of mine is, I'm reading this and this is in the present levels. All right. This child receives insufficient, in my opinion. So in the IEP meeting tomorrow, I will be avidly fighting for this, which is speech and OT. Okay. So in the present levels, I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to leave the child's name out. Okay. So it says student area of strength. Listen to this, guys. Okay. Child demonstrates many strengths and has made steady progress in his ability to initiate, execute, and complete tasks while participating in therapy. Okay. In the area of visual perception skills, child demonstrates ability to visually track a moving target. Okay. He can discriminate by, the first thing I said is remove that word discriminate. Not a proper word. All right. That is not a word you want to use in any way, shape, or form in an IEP. All right. So discriminate needs to be removed, and it needs to be replaced with distinction between, tell between, etc. But leave the word discriminate out. That is just not an appropriate word for an IEP. Then it says discriminate by size. So I said remove discriminate. Shape and color. He can identify and locate objects from busy background. In the area of fine motor, child is right hand dominance. This is how weird the writing is in this IEP. It's frustrating to me when educators can't even write with intellect. It drives me nuts. Then it says, child is right hand dominance and no longer switching hands. Okay, cool. He is able to manage and manipulate school materials, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that was his strengths. Not a lot of issues there. I was okay with that. I didn't put a lot of notes. I put a lot of notes under the child's area of need. So it says child demonstrates continued need in visual, motor, and bilateral integration skills. He occasionally reverts to an even less mature hook grasp, hooking his index finger around his pencil. His grasp is showing slight emerging dynamic movements with his grasp while writing coloring, it says slash coloring, movement generating from his upper arm rather than his hand fingers. When progressing into cutting basic shapes, which involves more bimanual coordination for turning the paper while cutting, he has difficulty staying within ½ inch of curves, angles, maintaining smooth edges. All right, so here's my comments to that. All right, number 1, OT needs. 1, they said visual, motor, and bilateral integration, which is, I'll explain it to you, the ability to have coordination of visual perceptual abilities and fine motor control. Okay, it is the skill that allows us to use our eyes and hands in a way that is efficient. So it sounds, where it says bilateral visual movement, it doesn't sound as big, but it is big, okay? If you don't have visual, motor, and bilateral integration, your eye-to-hand coordination in everything you do is going to be inhibited, all right? So that was number 1 that I didn't like. Number 2, bilateral integration is the ability to use both sides of your body together. Okay, we use our bodies together, right? Both sides need to kind of be even, or what? Us adults like myself are in pain, right? If we're kind of leaning towards one side because we're favoring it, right? Well, think about it in a child's perspective, where if they're not using both areas, it's going to inhibit them in many different areas of motor skills. Okay, so it's called bilateral integration, all right? The ability to use both sides together in a coordinated way, all right? Now, mind you, they have this child in group or individual. Now, what do you think that they're doing? Group. And this child has bilateral integration issues. He has trouble using both sides at the same time. His visual, motor, and bilateral integration is inhibited, okay, which is the ability to have coordination and visually perceive the abilities and basically to have fine motor control. That's a big deal. But yet you're going to give this child 30 minutes of group therapy a week? Are you out of your ever-loving mind? Really? This is about, an IEP is about the child's need, their individual needs. And this is what you're telling me? Seriously? All right, so I went on and so I mentioned that, so I'm going to be explaining this to the team tomorrow. And then I said this supports the need, all right, which is my argument, for continued OT, and that group therapy will not be effective and specific to his individual needs, all right? OT should be 2 times a week at 30 minutes to begin with, and it's individual therapy, period. All right, his visual, motor, and bilateral integration and grasp are so important that it will drastically impact this child. And I'm reading my notes of what I wrote. I said this will drastically impact this child and his ability to progress in the educational setting if direct one-on-one focus is ignored. Period. You just wrote in the IEP that these are issues. So now we're going to address those issues. And here's what you're going to do, okay? The next thing is, this is eye-opening to me, and this is what I said in my notes, and I'm going to be saying this because it coincides with goals not met that's within this IEP that I'm talking about, all right? And they will not be met if certain needs are going to affect goals that are targeted, okay? So these issues in OT that this child is having is affecting other areas within the IEP, not just in OT. So without OT working on these individual areas of need, it's actually affecting him in other areas, okay? So that was one of the main things I said. And then I said revert to progress report where writing skills are limited and therefore there is a huge need for one-on-one as well. Okay, so how a child grasps a pen or a pencil is important. Okay, so it's very hard for kids. They learn it typically in kindergarten, how to hold a pen or a pencil. But if you're doing this or, this and it's not even and they're having trouble kind of that eye to hand issue, which is what this child's having, that creates a huge issue in all areas of education because, okay, that's going to affect OT in the sense of there's a huge issue and a gap. And then you have writing skills, right? And you have other elements of education that this is going to inhibit if this isn't worked on in OT, in therapy, okay? So let's move on. So we're going to move on to speech, all right? So here's what it says. It gives a background, and then it talks about his strengths. Now, the one thing in his strengths that kind of stood out to me, and I'll just read the sentence before it. It says, well, I'll just read it to you. It says, child's strengths are in voice, fluency, and articulation. In the area of articulation, child continues to be 85 to 90% intelligible at the conversation level to unfamiliar, familiar individuals. In the area of expressive language, child can communicate his needs, wants, and complete sentences and is able to ask various WH questions. Additionally, he was able to meet his goal of sequencing of daily activities in complete sentences. He does require minimal cues to provide sentences because he prefers to provide each step by step in short phrases. Here's what caught me. Then she says, all right, now mind you, this is the strengths. So to use a word, however, should not be used in strengths. So she says, however, when prompted to use a complete sentence, he is able to explain each step in short, simple sentences. I'm confused. Why did you use the word however? So I said, however, I'm confused by the positive, then however, you use however. Like however is like, however, he did this, that was great. However, but then it's kind of a good thing. Like it just didn't make sense to me. And then the next question I did ask in reference to this was, how many prompts? Is prompting part of the goal? All right. So in the next area, it says, area of need. At this time, the child's need is receptive language. That's huge, huge. All right. During structured activities, child has difficult time answering WH questions on topic. But yet above, they said that he is able to ask various WH questions. Then in area of need, it says he has trouble answering WH questions. Which is it? Then it goes on and says, when given a question, child often answers with off-topic answers or begins to speak about topics of his choice. He requires continuous verbal prompts, visual prompts, and modules to answer questions on topic. So here's what I said in my notes. What I said was, this is a huge deal. Receptive language is the ability to understand information. If you don't have receptive language, do you think that it's just going to affect this child in speech? No. It is going to affect this child in reading and math. Okay? The two most important subjects is going to impact him. So if this isn't worked on in speech, it's going to impact him in all areas of the educational setting and impact his progress and everything within the school system. All right. So receptive language involves understanding the words, sentences, and meaning of what others say or what is read. Do you understand how big that is? So when I'm talking to a parent, I'm like, do you realize that he has trouble in receptive language? And they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, is that a big deal to you? And they're quiet usually. And I say, do you understand what receptive language is? And many parents will say, not really. I don't really know what that means or like the importance of it. And I get it. I didn't either. And so I explain it to them and they're like, oh my God, I had no idea. And so schools are kind of doing different things of using these big words that a lot of parents don't understand. And then when they read maybe what it means, it's not being digested as to, okay, how is this impacting my child? Because we as parents have so much on our plates that it's hard to really grasp it all. It really is. We're talking about a document that's like what, 20 to 40 pages long. It's killing us. We're brain dead by the time we're reading it. A lot of times it's just kind of jumbled. We want to go through it page by page, but we just don't know what we're reading exactly and how to interpret it or what we should be looking for, etc. All right, I get it. All right. So speech is a necessity. So this child, this is why this child's having reading issues, which is an issue this child's having. I'm just talking about OT and speech here, but I'm telling you that this child has reading issues. Why? Because he doesn't have receptive language, which is the ability to understand what someone is saying and understand what you're reading. Comprehension. All right. So now we have an OT who has crap goals, and not based off her comments. That's what kills me. All right. So for example, if the students need, let's just go back to OT real quick. If the students need in their present levels, all right, he occasionally reverts to even less mature hooks grasp, blah, 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 blah. His grasps are showing slight emerging dynamic movements with his grasp while writing, coloring. So he's having trouble grasping things, okay? He's having trouble with understanding different things that he is given and suggested to him. His visual and motor and bilateral integration is impacted, which is his coordination, all right, and visual and perceptual abilities, all right? So just for example, the first goal I would give this child is that he needs to be working on that hook grasp, okay? So, and that's not even one of his goals, all right? And I'll get into that in just a second. But, so going back to speech, all right, and me saying that receptive language is a huge deal. I mean, this is how this child processes information when somebody's talking to him. If somebody's talking to him and telling him something and he's not understanding and receiving that accurately, that's a problem. That's going to be a problem in all areas of the educational setting and impact him in a huge way because he's not understanding anything that's being told to him. All right. And so I said speech needs to be a necessity, individual, and 2 times a week, 1-to-1. All right, at 30 minutes. It's a younger child, so 30 minutes, is okay. And then you move up to 45 as they get a little bit bigger. All right, so we're talking about 7, 8 years old. And so we want to keep it frequent, but we don't want to have it too much to where they're just not focused. Okay. So one of the things I questioned is I said, how many prompts? This is continuous on this IEP, and these are my comments. This is what I said. I said, how many prompts? This says continuous and is noted on multiple occasions across this whole IEP. And this is important to be specific about, all right? Because prompts are good, but they should fade, all right? So if you have a child with a goal, and they need prompting. So you have objective goals then. So you have an annual goal of that, for example, because this child has receptive language and pragmatics that may impact his ability to perform academics, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So this is a big deal. All right. And it's important to understand that if he doesn't get that, it's going to affect him across the board for a long time to come. All right. And so I want to know when they said modeling, there's modeling that's happening. What does that look like? Show me. Tell me what that looks like. Show me what it looks like so I can understand how it is you're modeling, because that has to fade too. So if your annual goal is 1 or less prompts, then your objective before that would be 1 prompt. And then the objective before that, the first one, would be 2 prompts. All right. Or it could be, say, for example, so I always do objectives, goals. So I would do October, January, and then the year would be May or June of 2021. So it would be October 2020, January 2021, and then May or June 2021. All right, so the first goal would be 3 prompts if you'd like. Then the second goal would be for January, and that would be 2 prompts. And then by the end of the year, it's only 1 prompt. Or you can do 2 prompts, 1 prompt, no prompts, you know? But those prompts need to fade, all right? So that's just a huge thing for me. I'll do one more with you guys because I want you to kind of understand this. So these are present levels. I create everything off present levels, all right? But I have to make sure that the present levels are accurate, okay? So if you're just joining, post a 1 below if you are new, your first through third time of watching me, a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you guys say hi, okay? I know it's a little later than I normally go live, but my kids were over. My son's going to Georgia. He's in the military. And so he's going to be gone. That's where he's going to be stationed there for 5 years. So I'm excited, but we had a cookout tonight. So I apologize. I was late, but I'm here. All right. So this is a math present level. Okay. So the strengths. Child enjoys math. With modeling and practice, child can write a sequence, numbers 1 through 20, but frequently needs prompting to include the number 15. All right? So the first thing I said was, he is not writing to 20 if he needs prompting at 15. That's what I said. Don't tell me that he is sequencing numbers 1 to 20, but frequently needs prompts to include the number 15. He doesn't have 1 through 20. He has 1 through 15, or 14 to be honest. So I said he is not writing to 20 if he needs prompting at 15. All right? And then I said you say with prompting before everything you do, because everything right here says with prompting. How many prompts and what does that look like? And what types of modeling? The next thing it says, when presented with groups of less than 10, and again, this is math present levels. And this is the strengths. When presented with groups of less than 10, he can identify which group has more. Okay, awesome. He can add single digits using manipulatives or touch points. Cool. When prompting, child can count on to add using manipulatives and touch points. Again, it's not my grammar, it's theirs, y'all. Believe me, I've already questioned it. With prompting, child subtracts single digits using manipulatives and pictures. So here's what I said. So I said, a strength is mastery or close to mastery of a goal without prompts and modeling. If a child needs continuous prompts and modeling, this is in fact an area of weakness. So basically in this present levels, they noted weaknesses, not strengths. All right, so let's move on. Needs. Although child's computation skills have progressed, he needs to continue working on addition and subtraction using strategies such as touch points, using counting, and on manipulatives. Yep, that's how they wrote it, guys. I already said at the beginning, deal with your grammar. So here's what I said about that. All right. It just goes to attest to the impact of disability here and basically attending to learn new information. All right. This is a big deal. They basically said that due to his impact of disability, attending to learn new information is impacted. They put that into the IEP. That's a godsend for many of us because it can prove that the individual need to then have more goals, to then have more services, etc. Whatever it is that child needs. All right. So this comment is huge, huge. All right. They basically just threw it out there for you. So moving forward, it says, child continues to exhibit preservative, I think is what it says, behavior, e.g. asking others to say hi frequently, repeating the same phrases over and over. Again, it's child with autism, normal stuff. He also has difficulty initiating and saying and staying on task independently without frequent or maximum prompts from staff. All right. Impact of disability, difficulty for him to aim and attend instruction and tasks, etc. All right. So the one thing I said about the need, all right, he has difficulty staying on task. All right. He can't do that independently. He has to have maximum prompts, and he has issues attending instruction and tasks. So I made new goals. All right, off of all of this. So first goal is, and I'm just going to give you the first goal. Child will attend to instruction and task for 30 minutes at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May of 2021. The first objective, all right, would be child will attend to instruction and task for 15 minutes at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by October 2020. The second objective would be, and goal, would be child will attend to instruction and tasks for 20 minutes. You see I went up 15 to 20. For 20 minutes at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by January 2021. And then the yearly goal is child will attend to instruction and task for 30 minutes, 90% accuracy, 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May of 2021. All right. So do you see how I used what they said, where his present levels were in the negatives, and created a goal based off what they said? All right. So that is very important. I'm going to move on because I'm in the same area of math. I'm just going to kind of explain this to you. And I love this. So here's another one. Child is able, and this is in the present levels, and actually it's in the strengths. It says, and this is in language arts actually. Child is able to answer questions about one key detail after having a high interest text read to him. Okay, well, being able to answer questions about one key detail is nothing. Okay, so we're going to create a goal off of that. The goal would be child would be able to answer reading questions about 4 key details after reading high interest text with 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May of 2021. Let's increase that 1 to a 4. All right. So then you break it down to objectives, 2 of them, 1 by October, 1 by January. October would be child will be able to answer reading questions about 4 key details after reading high interest text with 90% accuracy in 7 out of 10 trials. And then you move to the next one, which is January 2021. Child will be able to answer reading questions about 4 details after reading high interest text with 90% accuracy, 8 out of 10 trials. So you go from 7 to 10, 8 to 10, and then 9 out of 10 at that year, okay? With 4 key details, all right? Instead of the 1. And that was under strengths that he's able to do 1. Okay, well, that's not enough. Let's move that to 4, all right? Now in needs, well, actually, let's continue with the positives. All right, so he continues to have difficulty with letters J, Q, and G. All right, so she's saying child can provide the letter, name, and sound for 90% of the letters in the alphabet. Okay, that is a strength. However, she then continues in the strengths arena and says he continues to have difficulty with letters J, Q, and G. Okay, cool. We're going to make a goal out of that. So child will provide the letter name for the sounds J, Q, and G at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May of 2021. Same 2 goals for the objective goals, which is again, October 2020 and then January of 2021. So October would be 7 out of 10 trials. January would be 8 out of 10 trials. Same goal. All right. Moving down, this is still positive. Child has been working on developing a sight word vocabulary. Well, I guess that's positive. However, we're going to make a goal out of it anyway. All right. Child will develop a sight word vocabulary of 50 at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May of 2021, because they state child has been working on developing a sight word vocabulary. Well, this child is going into 3rd grade. We're going to move those sight words up. They need to at least have 50 at that point. If for some reason 50 is too much for the child, they better show that to me in report data collection at each time the progress report is sent out. And that's another thing that is noted in here, all right, under the progress report area and where it's described of when it's going to be given, they actually say here totally different from what the law states. So I corrected that for them, and I added that all progress reports will be attached to report data collection for the parent to then see how the child mastered or didn't master or is making progress or isn't making progress with the goals, okay? So I'm going to finish up here. He is able to consistently read the word I, a, and cat. I'm not following. What does that mean? So I said, explain this. I have no idea what this means. And then the next thing says he inconsistently reads the words like dog and see. Okay, well, how is this a strength then? I'm confused. So I made it a goal. While reading a passage, child will use decoding and word recognition skills with 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May 2021. Broke it down into short-term objectives. And so in January 2021, it's 8 out of 10. In October 2020, it's 7 out of 10. Same goal. All right. It moves on and it says with modeling, and this is still in the positives, the strengths. This is what kills me. With modeling and practice, child can match simple, familiar CVC words to the picture with prompting to sound out the first letter of the word. Okay, so with modeling and practice and prompting, how is this a strength? I'm baffled by this. So I made it a goal. All right. When presented with a list of CVC words, child will correctly, with no more than one prompt, read the words with 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May 2021. That is the goal. Do you see I'm making these goals off of the present levels that these crazy people wrote, and it doesn't even make sense of how this is a strength? Please explain to me how this is a strength. A strength is something where the child is doing it well, that there's no question about it. This is his strength. This is what he's doing really well. No question about it. The area of need is where it should be, where all the concerns are about and where the issues are and the goals need to be made from. But I'm sitting here making goals from the strengths. It doesn't make sense to me. All right. So now let's move on to the needs. All right. Child demonstrates an ability to listen and retain knowledge from books he continues to have difficulty using his phonics skills to read unfamiliar words. Do y'all understand that? I don't understand that. Doesn't make no sense. Child demonstrates an ability to listen and retain knowledge. Now, mind you, this child in OT and speech doesn't understand what he's saying or what other people say. I'm lost. Are you? All right, so child demonstrates the ability to listen and retain knowledge from books he continues to have difficulty using his phonics skills to read unfamiliar words. All right, let me help you out, y'all. Let's create a goal off of this. I can't wait to get a hold of this team tomorrow. New goal. Child will fluently read, will read fluently at a first grade level and write various text forms using simple sentences with no more than one prompt at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by May 2021. Same goal for January and October. All right. Other than All right. So for January, it's child will read fluently at a first grade level and write various text forms using simple sentences with no more than 2 prompts at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by January 2021. The first short-term objective is child will read fluently at a first grade level with various text forms using simple sentences with no more than 3 prompts at 90% accuracy in 9 out of 10 trials as measured by report data collection by October 2020. Okay? So it's crazy how I've had to, and I'm only on page 5. Yeah. So let's get back. All right. So what I want you guys to know is that it's super important to read those present levels, understand what they mean, and really dive into them. All right. The first thing is obviously making sure that they're accurate. You want to look at your last year's IEP. You want to make sure that they have changed a little bit, and that's important. All right. So if anybody is hopping on, make sure you post a 1 below if you're new, a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Make sure you say hi and share away if you want to share. Okay. Hi, Christina. Data. Yes. I can't believe a school would do that. Yeah, it's crazy. There's the proof the child needs OT right there. Yep. Just like I showed. Hey, Leanne. Is it Leanna? I love that. And you're 2. And Jan, hello. Sharon, Tony, yay. I'm so glad you guys are here. All right. So what I want you guys to do too is I want you to look at your child's report cards if they get them. What do they say? Is it something that's really meaningful to you, or is your child kind of just not getting a report card that really means anything? And that's kind of normal for a child with special needs. So just it's dependent on what route they're on. All right. So are they on the diploma track and taking the state assessments, or are they on an alternative track? Okay. So it's just whatever route they're taking. Okay. North or south. And south not being bad. It's just different directions. All right. You also, as I've said multiple times, guys, you've got to check your last IEP. Anytime you get a new IEP, like a draft, all right, and remember, you always email when you get a draft. You email them. I don't care if you're in an IEP meeting and they hand you the draft there. You go home, you get in your car, you get your phones out, you email, and you say, thank you for the draft IEP that you gave me in the March 7th, 2018 IEP meeting. I will review it. And in the understanding that we did not discuss this as a team, we will be discussing it as a team, blah, 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 that they need to understand, if they didn't tell you, that a draft's just that, and that they didn't just make decisions without you. Okay, you got to kind of put that out there, because if it's not, then it's going to be assumed that you are part of that, even though you weren't. Okay. And then just really focus, especially going into this year, you guys have got to focus on these goals. All right. So, make sure that you've got to make sure that, your goals and your IEPs are on target. You've got to. All right. It's just really important. Really, really, really important. I can't even tell you. Hi, Roxy. How are you? So please make sure you read your prevalent levels. Don't be afraid to make goals. If you have to become the teacher and write those goals, I do it all the time. I'm also going to tell you something that I'm pretty disappointed about. And I wasn't sure if I was going to say anything, but I am. So, and you guys know I'm a previous teacher. I love teachers. But the unfortunate part of this is when it was brought to my attention by a teacher today, we had a, let's just say a conversation. It was a disagreed conversation. And it was basically what was said to me is, gen ed teachers this is how the conversation went, okay? Gen ed teachers have no time for children with disabilities, with all the other children that we have on our plate. And so basically what happens is that we are overwhelmed, and then we have parents that expect things that these kids just can't pick up and aren't facing it, and the parents are in denial, and then us as teachers, everything is put on us, and we don't have time to take care of all of the children because we already have 28, 32, etc. kids in our classroom. So I'm not really sure how all these parents expect me to cater to their child when they're not willing to wake up and realize that sometimes their child just isn't going to improve that much. Oh yeah, this is what she said to me. And you don't even understand. I was like this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then she said, here's what she said. And what you do really sometimes offers us teachers a disservice because you help parents think that these kids are going to do X, Y, Z, and it just puts more pressure on us. And guess what happens? Is they actually don't get better teaching because all the good teachers are quitting. Yeah, that's what was said to me today. It's great. And I said, that's interesting. I said, because most of the parents that I've talked to have dealt with the fact that their child has a disability. All of us parents have gone through our ups and downs and of facing the fact that of where our child is and their impact of disability. And was it a shock to us in the beginning? Yeah. But most of my parents that I've talked to are dealing with it and are just fine and actually have the attitude, most of them, like I do, of that's not my freaking problem. They're teachers, they need to teach, and they need to take care of my child's individual needs. If not, yeah, they should quit. And that was my attitude about it. And then she said, well, then they're just not going to get adequate teaching. And that's why teachers, lie on grades. Oh, yeah. So I said, what do you mean? And she said, on report cards. I said, well, a lot of my parents, actually, their kids don't get report cards, but some of them do. But what do you mean, lie? And she said, she didn't want to say. She just shook her. I was like, what? And she said, they're not honest. Because what else are they going to do? So that's what I had a conversation I had today. And it was enlightening. Not that I didn't know it. I did. But it was enlightening. Now, we do have teachers that are great. They want to help their kids. We have special education teachers that are amazing. And they want to help their kids. But it did get me thinking. Because this teacher is not all wrong. And what she's not wrong in is the backwards things that go on behind the scenes that I'm trying to use the right words, guys, and it's not in my nature. I normally just, a lot of things go on behind the scenes that, if you're not aware of it, happens. Do you think that I don't think that happens? Of course I do. That's one of the reasons I do what I do. I was a teacher. I know what goes on behind the scenes. But I'm having a real hard time formulating what to do about this problem, because it's a problem. All right. So it's mainly for gen ed teachers that you have special ed teachers. And this is what she said. She said, you have special ed teachers who are way overwhelmed. When technically speaking in special ed, just for you guys to know, the ratio should only be a 1-to-5, 1-to-6. 1-to-5 is super healthy. Pushing that, a 1-to-6, okay. But a lot of schools find out what the teacher to student ratio is in special ed. It should be 1-to-5. They will push it. Okay. then it's, a para will be in the room, et cetera, right? Well, in a gen ed classroom, you got to figure that out as well. And if there's not enough support, that has to be taken into consideration, and they need to do something about that. And instead of doing something about that, sometimes they want your kid back in special ed because they don't want to provide that in the gen ed setting. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I've seen it go both ways. So I guess what I'm saying is no, just kind of take note of this, that it is a problem. This one person said, you really should be rallying to supporting teachers and not having so many kids in the room and special needs kids in the room. And 1 to 17 for a special ed, child that's freaking insane. I would, if something happened to my child, I would sue the school, literally. That's just insane. So, and I would, as a teacher, I'd have a huge problem with that. And legally speaking, they can do nothing about it if you had a problem with 1 to 17, because that's insane. Because if something happens to a child in your care, when you have a 1 to 17 ratio of children in inclusion, it's on you. And those parents can actually sue you. Okay? It happens all the time. I can give you some cases. But if something happens and a safety issue happens, Jan, with those children in your care of that 1 to 17 ratio, it's on you. Yeah, it's on the school. It's on the school district. But do you really think that the parent's going to really be looking at that right then? Yeah, it automatically becomes a district issue, but the finger's going to be pointed at you. I can guarantee you that. So you have to be careful. And, in most special education settings, it should not be more than 1 to 5, 1 to 6. Because we're talking about, and I'm not talking about children that are not in special ed, obviously, but a special ed setting, yeah, but it's a huge safety issue. And how can an educator teach 17 children with special needs? That's impossible, Jan. That's impossible. You are Superwoman if you can do that. I have one child with disabilities, and I'm ready to pull my hair out teaching her. So I don't understand, and I'm a teacher, so I don't understand how that's even possible. But it just goes to show what the schools are putting on teachers these days. And this person, I'm not even going to say who they are, but I can tell you that they're close to me. But we had a very intense conversation today. And I'm not happy about it because what she said, a lot of it was true. That teachers are doing things they shouldn't do on progress reports and report cards. And that's why I'm going to talk until I'm blue in the face about data, and data. All right. And where you can pinpoint in that IEP of where you want to look. All right. So that's progress reports. That's creating the right goals. That's focusing on what's happening. Go in and observe your kids. There's so much that can go on that you want to make sure that it's not your child that they're, being dishonest about. And this person even said they don't want to be dishonest, but they don't have a choice. What do you mean by that? I mean, that's scary hearing from a teacher. Scary. So I wanted to let you guys know this because it's out there. It's real. And you guys need to, the more you know, the more educated we are, the more we can address this issue. Because it is an issue, okay? Because I'll never stop advocating for my child. And I know you're not on this page to not advocate for your child, okay? So we've got to come together. We've got to really think about these things, and we've got to be very aware that they are happening and not put it in the back of our brain as to, no, this isn't happening. Don't be in denial. Own it, know it. It is happening. It's fact. It's this person that's close to me. She's not the only one I've heard it from. Okay. But it was just interesting how this was a topic of conversation today. And please just be aware about it. Just be aware about it. Okay. Be kind of like those pictures I've posted, how I said a parent with a typical age child playing at the park and a parent with a child with special needs playing at the park, kind of like we're like this, that's how you got to be with the school system. That's how you got to be. All right. So I'll take a couple questions if you guys have any questions. I'm going to continue talking about this. We're going to kind of move on to goals you need to think about like for next year. All right. Even if you had your IEPs, I don't care. The first week of school, I hope you guys all do what I tell you to do and ask for an IEP. All right. Within that first week. All right. And we're going to talk about different services that you need to be looking into and kind of how that should look. And we're going to move on to like compensatory services and how that should look. And one thing I will tell you is I was in an IEP meeting for a client. I have a couple clients, I think I've told you guys, in California. California is a damn pickle. And one of the team members said, "Oh, we don't talk about compensatory services in the IEP." I said, "Really?" I said, "Where do you talk about it?" "Well, we just don't talk. That's not the type of IEP this is." "Oh, well, where do you talk about it?" "We're not discussing that at this IEP. That's not what this IEP is about." I said, "You're wrong." I said, IEPs are for the team to come together to talk about anything pertaining to that child and that IEP that child has. And any type of service, accommodation, modification, just like we talk about ESY, that should be talked about at every single IEP meeting. Everything is talked about and everything is on the table in an IEP meeting. So explain to me how compensatory services are not talked about in an IEP meeting when I know, in fact, that you are absolutely incorrect. And if that's correct, just say that I'm wrong, which I know I'm not. Please show me the policy that it states that you don't talk about compensatory services in an IEP. And this is what she said. "Well, that's just not what we're talking about right now." She kept going back. "That's just not what we're talking about right now." I said, "That's not what you said. You said that compensatory services are not talked about in an IEP. You didn't say we weren't talking about it at this meeting," which you can't say, by the way. But let's just be clear on what you said. Oh, she hated me. Hated me. I am very good at being very clear on what you said. I will repeat exactly what you said back to you. All right? So don't try to trip me up with words because I'm very good with words. And I said this to her. And she said, "Okay, well, we need to move on now." Have you ever been to an IEP meeting where they just kind of brush you off? "Okay, let's move on. Let's just move on. We're not talking about that right now." I said, "Okay, whoa. We need to push that reverse in and to back it on up because you ain't pushing me forward. I'm talking about this right now, right here. When we're done, then we can move forward. But you're not going to rush me. We're not on your agenda. We're on my child's agenda, my child's individual IEP, and everything will be talked about in this meeting. If we have to table it and it goes over a certain period of time, 3 hours, whatever, because I always dock a certain amount of time, then we move forward and we have another meeting within a 2-week period. But never let a team member rush you. Put a stop to that quick. All right? Don't be scared, worried, whatever you may be feeling, to be abrasive in your communication, to be clear. Because if you're not, they are going to overpower you, bullshit you, whatever. Because they just want to move it on. They don't want to stop where you want to stop, to get clarity, to understand, to get data. and all the things that you're entitled to. They are going to keep rushing you so you forget about all that stuff. This used to happen to me all the time. I would feel so rushed that I got so nervous that I couldn't focus. So I'd leave the meeting feeling like a total idiot because I left the meeting without asking all the questions I had because they rushed me and made me feel all crazy inside. And my mind was like all jumbled up and like jello because they had me so worked up, because we're already worked up as parents going into an IEP meeting. And they had me all worked up that I forgot all my questions, even though they were in the back of my head. But they kept rushing me that I just would freeze. And that's why I'm telling you guys this. You don't want to make the mistakes that I made for 6.5 years. Okay? You want to make sure you put a stop to these things right here and right now. And don't be afraid to set precedents right now. It's kind of like tough love, and then you can loosen up. Yes, that's how it works. So I'm just going to say it in a kind of transparent way. So just be nasty in the beginning, and then you back it off. Okay, you guys get where I am. I made myself clear. Now I can be cool, because you guys get that I'm no bullshit. If you do something wrong, I'm going to report your butt. If you do this, and you do a discrimination and you don't provide my child a service, accommodation, modification, cool. I'm going to make an OCR complaint. If you don't implement my child's IEP, okay, cool. I'm going to make a state complaint. And the more you make your point, the more they're going to get clear on you're not playing games. And that's the precedent you have to set to then be able to move on and back up a little bit, because they're going to get you. They're going to know you don't play games. They're going to know you're a parent that is going to do whatever you have to do for your child. And even if you don't understand, you're not going to play games, and you're going to find out if you have to. Okay? You're going to be that parent. Oh my God, you're going to be that parent. Are you afraid? Are you going to do it? Don't worry about being that parent. I'm so happy that I'm that parent. Okay? Maybe I should make t-shirts out of that. Like, I made my Autism Mama Rocks IEP t-shirts. Let me know if you guys want one, okay? I have different colors. But, and it's Autism Mama Rocks IEP, okay? So if you're an autism mama. But I should make a t-shirt that says, I am that parent. Because it's so true. And be okay with that. That doesn't make anything bad. That means that you care enough about your child that you're going to do whatever it takes to learn more, gain more knowledge, to be confident in what you do. And unfortunately, in this arena, it's political. So if you have to get nasty, you get nasty. If you have to be outside of your personality in an IEP meeting because that's just what you have to do to get things done, then that's what you do. And it's kind of like, we're different when it comes to the safety of our children. That whole saying, mama bear, same thing. We do what we have to do in a circumstance that is not exactly welcome or awesome, but that we have to be in and deal with. And so you just have to be open to doing that and focus and be diligent about it. Sometimes I stay calm. No, I don't stay calm. No, I'm crazy. If you can stay calm and assertive, sure. Yeah, that'll work. It depends. It depends on if they're open. So it depends on if, I typically will rub them wrong. They'll get attitudes when I'm in an IEP meeting with a parent. I rub them wrong. They get attitudes. They kind of think that they can step up and take me on, and then they back up because I catch them on something. And then all of a sudden, the peacemaker will talk and say, all right, guys, let's do this. And I'll say, actually, no, we're going to do this. So here's the thing, is you guys had your agenda. You sent me an agenda for this parent, and I don't care about your agenda. You're more than welcome to your agenda, but we're going to take care of what we need to take care of and what the parent needs answered before we get to your agenda. Your agenda's last. because the most important part is what the parent needs to hear, the data the parent needs to see, and the information the parent needs to have in order to be an active member of this team. Okay, so that's what we're going to deal with first so that you all are not in a procedural violation. We're going to deal with that part first. Then we can move on to your awesome agenda, no problem. And it is what it is. And typically they flow, you know? And teams just, when they deal with me in an email, after the second email, the director of special education is involved in the whole thing. Because I know I don't, when I look at what parents have and the stuff that the school sent them and the lack of things that have been provided, and I call it all out, and then I ask for everything in the kitchen sink. I say I want the records, I want the scholastic records, I'm a FERPA request. I say if you don't provide it to me, I'm going to put in a FOIA request. I say I want a full and conclusive evaluation, and these are the evaluations I want, and they're like, holy shit. And so by the time they're done with me, they're looking forward to that IEP. But yeah, you have to sometimes not be calm, because that's just not human nature to be upset about something, be frustrated and I'm not even the parent. In my own meetings, I'm crazy too, because you know, I have to make sure that Skylar's needs are met, and there's nothing gonna happen that's gonna change that. And if you're gonna fail a child, you're gonna be accountable for it, and I'm not gonna stop until you are. And so you have to just have that thought process, because so many children just get swept under the rug, and you know, we can't let that happen. Okay, and if it does, then compensatory services will be given. Okay, so you guys have a good evening. I know it was like a hot topic tonight, right? But I'll tell you, you know, if anything's going to get me going, it's going to be data and these IEPs that are driving me crazy, because they've got to be written right. They've got to be written right. And the way they're written right now that I've seen is just, it's a lot to look at. And a big problem is teachers aren't educated in how to write IEPs in an accurate way. That's a big problem. And it's very obvious. So you have to understand these IEPs, because the person that's creating them is not an expert. So you have to become as best of an expert as you can on your child and the IEP process, so that you can catch these things. So PM me if you guys want to set up a discovery call. I had a couple people ask about that. And yes, my service accommodation and modification course is coming out in 2 weeks. And then I think it was you, Roxy, that you wanted my big course. So yes, that is available if you want it. But I'm going to be doing a large launch and another webinar that you guys like coming soon. You know, I'm going to kind of push that towards the start of the school year. Hopefully school starts, right? And we'll be hitting that then. Okay, so message me if you have any questions, and we'll set up a discovery call. And if you have some serious needs that you want to address when it comes to your IEP and making sure things are straight for all this time your kids have been off, I'd be more than willing to step in and help and get you going with your IEP so you're on target come the new year. So I will talk to you guys soon. And Jan, message me. I'd love to talk to you more about this, because that's scary. It really is. It's really scary. And so I know you're new at this school, I'm assuming. Yeah, there has to, and that's the thing, is you're teaching special ed. There is a cap. You need to find out your state laws. You really do. The district does not get to dictate that, oh, we're just giving you 17 kids in inclusion. It doesn't work like that. So if you're going to have 17 kids, then you need to have at minimum 3 adults in that room. 3 at minimum. Okay? So message me if you have any questions, but that is mandated. Okay, you cannot have that many special needs children in one room with one teacher. There's no way in hell. I'm telling you. Okay, I'm telling you. So please make sure that you call your state and let them know what's going on if that's truly the case. I know that schools go over the number they're supposed to go over, but I've never heard of 17, a 1 to 17. Never. That's dangerous. Okay. All right, Roxy, I messaged you, lady. All right. Hi, Sharon. Welcome. I see that you're new. So yeah, if you're catching this and the replay, post a 1 below if you are new, post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. I'm so glad to see you guys. And I will be going live again tomorrow and Tuesday and Thursday. But tomorrow I'm going live over on the group. So, or I may go live here and then on the group on Tuesday. So if you haven't joined the group, it's Autism Mama Rocks IEP group, and you can put that in the search section and come join us over there. It's an amazing group. I'm so excited about it. So, and I do a lot of Q&As over there. Everybody's really great. I mean, it's kind of become like a tight-knit community, and parents are really nice and supportive, and they encourage each other, and it's nice. It's nice. So if you're part of groups and you kind of feel like it's not interactive or whatever, this group's really interactive. So you should come try it out. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.